Today, I want to talk about Warframe, an ongoing shared world shooter for the Xbox One, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. And of course, if it's on PS4, that means I can stream it to my Vita via remote play. So that's what I'm going to go over today, guys. If you want to see more remote play reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's jump right in. So as you can see, the game looks beautiful on the Vita OLED screen. Of course, I'm sure it looks perfectly fine on the newer Vita as well, but I like the OG OLED Vita. I just keep buying it over and over, even though they keep breaking on me, which is partly due to my kids. But anyway, yeah, the game looks great on the hardware, which I honestly had a few problems seeing things at first. I went into the settings and I adjusted some things, and I suggest you do the same if you plan on remote playing this game to Vita. And one thing I did was I shut off the motion blur. Like normally on big TVs, motion blur will look like it'll honestly make the game look more cinematic, but when it comes to the Vita, a smaller screen, when it's a game like this, you want to just turn off the motion blur just so you can see things more clearly. And that also goes for film grain. I shut that off as well just to make things look a bit more smooth, a bit more eye-popping, instead of like feeling more like a cinematic experience, because honestly I'm not looking for that on my Vita. I'm just trying to see the game. So I shut off motion blur and film grain, and I also turned down the sensitivity. Like once again, on the TV, the sensitivity, it's fast, it's fluid, it's great, but when you're playing on a smaller screen, I had to slow things down a little bit just because my character was moving a bit too fast and it was just hard to control them on the smaller screen. So I turned down the sensitivity to 20, it was only on 30, and it was still honestly perfectly fine. It's not too slow, it's not too fast, it just feels perfect. And lastly, when it comes to the visuals, one thing I want to mention is you should always adjust the brightness to your liking, because every time you stream a game to the PlayStation Vita, some of them just look a lot darker. Now some games look perfectly fine, like Uncharted, The Lost Legacy looked perfectly fine. I didn't tinker with that at all. But then there's games like Hellblade and Spider-Man, God of War, that I turned the brightness up a bit more. Now I didn't really mess with it with Warframe, but like I said, adjust it to your liking, because some games just do not look bright on the Vita screen. Now lastly, this game actually does have a default remote play control scheme. Shout out to the developer for including this in the game. Of course, this was originally an early PS4 game, so this is back when Sony was sort of pushing remote play on developers, but still, like, they've updated the game 1,000 times since then. It's like a totally different game nowadays, and it still has the Vita remote play option, and you can go in and change any of the controls to your liking, which I loved about this. Now, the default remote play settings, they make sense, but I was not a fan of them. You have to aim using the D-pad and then you fire with the R button, which, you know, just saying that sounds really weird, you know, like I'm just so used to aiming with L and shooting with R, so I had to change that back. And of course they did this because the L button, you'll be sliding around, you'll be doing flips and stuff, but honestly you don't have to do that in Warframe unless you're playing on a super hard difficulty, which I wasn't. I mean, I'm still early in the game. I found that changing the aiming to the L button and then switching the crouching and sliding to the D-pad was a lot better overall. But you know, be sure to tinker with it and see what you like as well. There's a lot of options. Like I said, they really did great offering different choices for Vita owners, which is very rare these days. But yeah, mainly the only gripe I have with remote play for Warframe is that a lot of the text on screen is too small. Like even the options, I had my face really close to the screen. I was like squinting, trying to read everything. And of course, there's a bunch of chat texts that come up which I personally shut off. I like to play this game alone. I like to play most games alone. And it was the same with Warframe. So I shut off all the in-game chat, and I didn't see any option to make like the words bigger in the options and stuff. But I don't know, maybe you can. Be sure to let me know if you figure that out down in the comments. But that's all I really got today, guys. That's what I think of Warframe on the PlayStation Vita in remote play. If you want to check out my other remote play reviews, I'll be sure to link them at the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.